Hey everyone, it's Maydad here from YNV Health and Wellness, and tonight I'm joined with my good friend 𝙍𝙬𝙮. Chris is a yoga instructor and coach who's been coaching and teaching for 12 years. He's been a personal trainer previously and he's worked in the health and wellness industry for many years. Welcome to tonight's Zoom, Chris, and it's great seeing you and having you with us tonight. How are you?
Thank you, my dad. I'm pretty good, feeling amazing.
Great. Chris, you run your own yoga studio, Behalf, in Cronulla, and you certify instructors, and you've been doing this for so long, and you run courses, and I met you at one of the courses that you were helping facilitate on behavioral science. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and your past before getting into yoga or becoming a personal trainer and all that stuff?
Yeah, cool. Um, I guess I was very sporty in the beginning. Like I played sports from a very young age and like played rugby league for 20, 25 years or something like that since 8 years old and um, enjoyed the gym, enjoyed physicality, enjoyed, sporting and things like that. Um, and then as I got older, had different injuries and different things and had to stop playing football, I started with CrossFit. So that was my go-to in terms of sport and physicality and competing and things like that. But I guess I was still feeling really injured. And um, so then I was looking for something else. I discovered I like during my younger years also I really loved acrobatics and gymnastics and things like that. And I discovered a thing called acro yoga. This would have been like 2011 or something like that. Acro yoga and with acro yoga I met some really cool people. And one of them I ended up being partners with. She had a studio in Cronulla, and one thing led to another. We end up becoming partners, like intimately, and from then, like just previous to that, maybe a couple of years, I was a personal trainer as well, moving out of driving trucks, and then yeah, personal training, and then that like just one thing led to another. Like literally, when the first sort of yoga practice I did back then with modern yoga, I call it these days, and what you might know as vinyasa yoga or power yoga or heated yoga or flow type scenario of yoga. Um, yeah, like the first class that I did, like it was like, wow, what is this? Like it just felt like there was a bit more depth to it than what I was doing and possibly what I was looking for. Um, and that's what helped me move in towards that type of field, I guess, and just wanting more for myself, and like I was super fit. I mean, apart from the injuries and always about going to the gym and looking good, but it just got really boring, and I just wanted to go a little bit deeper. So I felt like with yoga, that's what it was at, and yeah, like did that for a little while, and then transitioned into to where I am now. But a whole nother story, probably get into a little bit later on.
It's amazing, Chris, when you see like top athletes. I've got a guy from the Sydney Swans at my gym. I had Barry Franklin in the gym training with me and others, and that as they get older and older, they just tap into a different side of themselves. I don't know whether it's just they become more mindful and they're more conscious and something reawakens in their mind. And they just, like you said, they go, it's a nice way of putting it, they just go deeper and deeper, whether it is ice baths, whether it is just the spiritual side, the meditation, and just whether it's Feldenkrais or an awareness for movement format, whether it be yoga or whatever, they get involved in that. And the benefits are so much more rewarding, as you said. Maybe as you were maybe not saying, but maybe I'm trying to uh, uh, understand some of what you were leading to, and you might want to interact a little more about it or go into it a bit
Yeah,
deeper
yeah.
later on.
Totally. Well, that was the transition for me. So I was teaching and practicing in that way, like I was saying before, the vinyasa or power yoga style of yoga, which majority of what people believe to be yoga is what is happening out there. And it's very it's very like asana based. So asana, when we talk terms of yoga, asana is the body aspect of it, of things, the physicality of the practice, and what many believe to be yoga. Like what we see on Instagram and things like that, and it being all about how fancy the shapes are and how complicated the sequences are and things like that, and how well they can connect the music to the sequence, and how well they can play instruments in Shavasana, and like all of this stuff on the surface level is where it was at. And then similar to when like my transition from CrossFit and footy and gym and all that to yoga, and going that little bit deeper into understanding myself, even that aspect for me became boring as well. I really felt like for me, what I was noticing in the industry and yoga, and especially in the Western, I guess, where we live, I felt like I was going sideways. Like you were saying, like, ice baths, and I mean, they're all great. Different range of movements, different styles of the physicality, mandala stuff, like spinning around on their mat and like getting all fancy. But what I felt like was in the physical realm. And then I discovered what I practice and teach now, like a traditional tantric hatha yoga. And it was like this whole new world opened up. It was like a whole bigger beast was revealed to me within myself and through these, amazing practices and philosophy. And this thing is never ending. Whereas the other thing was quite fleeting and like limiting, especially if you're very curious. I can imagine people can stay in that realm for quite a long time if they're not diligent in continually wanting to ask questions and push themselves, and then they can just hover in that realm. But
Yes.
for someone like myself that wants the truth all the time, that asks deeper questions, then I found quite quickly I got to the edge of that and I wanted more. And then
Yeah.
discovering this style of yoga is just a whole nother world, like a whole nother world.
Chris, you really, as I listen to you speak and explain that, and you explain it really well, I'm reflecting on some of the stuff in my journey and getting involved in boxing and learning the Australian way or the European way, the Anglo-Saxon way of boxing, for example, because that's
Yeah.
the craft that the art of boxing is what I've been studying. And I quite got bored of that. And I took a look at different countries and different cultures, and I look at the Russians and their style of boxing. And then I went deeper and I looked at the Cubans, and I looked at a rhythmic movement that was almost like salsa. I borrowed different Caribbean styles and different uh, patterns and different shapes. Uh, all of that was very rhythmic and dynamic and very flowy. The shapes were quite flossy. And then I wanted to learn more and more like yourself, And so I went and I looked into learning from the old African American trainers, the real old guys. And I found a teacher, Jimmy Williams, who's no longer with us in flesh. He's passed on about 4 years ago at the age of 92. And I found that there were, like you said, there was no never ending. There was a never ending education. There was never ending. Um, I found myself getting really comfortable in the European style, the Aussie style. I mean, I'm not saying you can always learn more in anything, I guess, that we do,
Mhm.
You'd be pretty ignorant and arrogant not to think that way, sorry. But I just found with classical boxing, there are no missing links. It's almost like comparing blues music and pop music. It's so deep. And I love your share about that and your analogy on it. Tell us, Chris, what do you love most about what you do? I mean, I know I can tell how passionate you really are. I've met you and we've spoken so many times with our studies and just hanging out, having lunch together and that. And what really do you love most about what you're doing? I mean, I realize it's your life and it's
Yeah.
more than just a hobby.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, I mean, I've been teaching and practicing like full time for, like you said, 12 years now. So it's definitely my life. Um, what I love about yoga and the yoga practice and, how I'm practicing now, I feel like, um, We have so many different aspects to our life and who we are as a human being. We have our physicality, we have our energy, we have our mind. And what I found with all the everything that I did leading up to this point of discovering what I do now is, like different things look after just like a certain part. What I love about yoga, and especially this form of yoga that I now practice and teach, um, and like I was saying before, with the style that I used to be involved with, I mean, I still teach vinyasa. I do. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Now I see it as a really good stepping stone into a deeper aspect of the practice and of ourselves. And we still teach it at the studio. Um,
Would you use it as a warm up sort of like, or like just the gentle movements before you go
no,
into it,
it's
or
just a completely different
different
thing.
style? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just completely different. It's like I can't even think of an analogy. I mean, it's similar, but it's different. It's just like scratching on the surface of what the other one provides. I don't know if that makes any sense or
No, it does. It does. It's like playing. It's like um, um, modern dance and hip hop. Hip hop is always you could be behind the beat, in front of the beat, or like
yeah,
off beat, but you're still within rhythm. It's really interesting, really different to like one, two, three, four. You could be one and two and four. So it's completely different. But it's still looking sharp. Being off, like yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Um, so and for me, I guess what I love, so like you said, we met with that other form of, let's say,
Behavioral science.
sorry.
Behavioral science.
Yeah, behavioral science and understanding our subconscious mind and diving deeper into that and getting ourselves to understand that. I absolutely love that, and the reason I went to that is because I didn't particularly want to teach yoga online, and that was the whole COVID sort of era. And but what made me go back to yoga is
Mhm.
that like I was saying, it's more for me, it's more holistic. Like we're looking after physicality as well. It's more of a, we're this amazing human being system, like there's so many layers to us. And I feel yoga looks after all of it in one go. And especially this style that I teach, it's not even like there's many aspects to it and parts to it. Um, but when it's all put together and put together in a really intelligent and a systematic way, it then helps one to be able to not just feel good in their body, but it goes way deeper than that. And I just for me and everything that I've been through, and I love the body, I love the mind, I love learning, I love going deep in awareness and consciousness and all of it. And I feel like for me, it's just fits me really, really well. It's just I love every aspect of it and love teaching it and just love being in the room and before it used to be I was so interested in being able to get people to handstand and arm balance and all of this stuff. Now I get off on how still I can make the room.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's that, Chris, just going back to what you just said about could it be like I'm just this, for example, I see a lot of top level athletes when they give up sport. Like I said, I've got guys from the Sydney Swans, I've had rugby players, I've had ex-world champion boxers that I met in America. And I noticed one particular thing that when that time is over, that limelight is over, there's got to be a life afterwards. And it doesn't necessarily need to be just boxing. And this is what I found about myself because I'm 54 years old now. And I realize this is what I love about the behavioral science and the journey I've taken, not just in just say ice baths but that's just an ice bath or it does what it does and it is what it is. But the understanding of mindfulness, the understanding of what we're doing like you're doing yoga and I'm doing boxing and it's all human movement, but understanding the fluidness of it, understanding the different energy levels. And it's hard to explain to somebody who's hovering, from my point of view, and I think you could probably relate to this, who's hovering in, say, at one level when your vision's out here. I constantly share this with people, and was wondering how you see it. When somebody comes to your practice in the beginning, obviously they have the vision of, I don't know if you remember the 1 cent pieces that we used to have, the brown ones,
Yep.
and then it gets bigger to a 5 cent piece, and from that it goes to a 2 cent piece, a 10 cent piece, a 20 cent piece, a 50 cent piece, and then before you know it, you've got like a round like a big soccer ball with their vision increases and their ability to see things, articulate things, and connect with things. And I feel that about everything I do now, and I think it's such an important part of my practice within myself, and it resonates with everything I do. Do you feel a little bit like that as you've progressed from when you first started teaching yoga and becoming certified?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel it's almost like sometimes I really forget, how far I've come and especially being a business owner and trying to wear both hats and it's not just about being in front of the people and teaching a class and speaking to the depths of what's going on, which I love to do, but have to be careful and mindful that not speaking so much so that it's literally going over everyone's head, and doing things that are going to scare people off and things like that. But
Mm,
I feel that more so with the whole, marketing of things and being able to speak to the mainstream and speak to a wider audience to bring them into the studio. And then hopefully that analogy that you gave just then sort of happens and they get to come in and I would say 95% of people that begin yoga is through the physicality and because they're injured or tight or stiff or something like that.
mm.
It's just a physical thing because that's all they really know. And then
And then
they'll
it
come
takes,
in, yeah, then they'll come in and they start to practice, and then you speak to different things, and then they start to discover that there's more to them than just their body, and then hopefully they continue on the journey and going deeper and deeper like that. So for sure that's happening. And yeah, like I said, what I love about yoga, I feel like it's endless in the depth that we can go.
it's amazing. It's probably like that with anything that we do, eh? Like when you look at music and you learn to play guitar or something like that, you learn certain scales and they're just basic scales, and then you learn blues scales, and then you might learn like you get deeper and deeper, and you might play like Johnny Lee Hooker blues or something like that, or and I guess everybody, like you said, you started with Vinsana, or was it
Vinyasa.
Danja, Vinyasa.
Yeah.
Um, and then after a while you wander off and you pick your own style. For example, the boxing style that I'm doing now, and I love, and I will be doing for the rest of my life, is
Yeah.
classic, old school classical boxing. But there are other styles. Um, so I know you've worked with some lots of different people, and you don't have to mention anybody's name, Chris. But and I know you've seen some amazing, probably seen some amazing transformation over your journey as a personal trainer, as a health and wellness coach, with behavioral science, and with your yoga practice in your studio in Cronulla. Can you recall one experience where you were able to make well, a client, a student that was able to make an amazing transformation that, without having to share their names, that you could share with us tonight?
Um, like I don't know if it's like that. The Another thing, I guess the difference between um, like that behavioral science thing we're talking about and teaching and practicing yoga or teaching yoga. I feel like with the coaching, it's very direct, and you speak to the individual. I mean, it might be group coaching as well, but there's very like people's problems are like we're there to solve people's problems or help them solve their problems themselves, and it's very interactive and direct like that, and easier to be, I guess, responsible for someone's big, release or awakening or healing or whatever. With yoga, I feel like there's a little less direction, if you know what I mean. Like it's very just speaking to a room, and a lot of people just go off and do their own thing. And I'm sure we're helping in so many ways for so many people, but it's like they don't necessarily have to share with us what we've done for them. Occasionally we'll get someone saying like thank you and things like that. More so from the teacher training stuff. Like I know there was massive transformations in that, like teaching people how to teach. There's such a big change in people. Like there's so much aspect to being able to teach yoga and like, be able to stand in front of people and present, how you use your voice, how you present yourself in the room, how you give a message, or and how do you guide people into this journey into themselves. Like the ability to do that from where they come and possibly just practicing or whatever is so different. And there was some big changes in the teacher training stuff for sure. And that's why I want to do that more now. Like I think I'm leading into that a little more, the teacher training. I mean, I love teaching classes, I do, but now that I've experienced, having more time and more context and being able to match, our practices to the context that we give, then it's much more powerful and transformational. But no, I mean, there was, like we had really good testimonials from everyone that went through, but nothing like massively out there, if you know what I mean.
Do you find like, Chris, with human movement, and when I say like with yoga or Feldenkrais, because I did Feldenkrais with a really good practitioner. Her name was Rebecca Bookby, and this was almost, we're talking about like 1990, 90, 1990, 1991. And although she incorporated things like biofeedback and all that, it was more like hands-on work, but it was me going through the experience, me going through the movements, me going through or the student going through the different shapes that were assisted by the coach or by the teacher. And then over time, that inbuilt awareness was developed. And it was almost like I was making a transformation, but it was more like an increased awareness that enabled me to hold the shapes better and hold my poses better. And overall, there was, the benefits of good health and, you know, good movement and all that sort of stuff. But wasn't as if like, in behavioral science, like when we talk about like some of the courses that we do, we sit there and we talk and we guide and all this. With this, she literally just moved me and guided me to the right position. And over time, I learned some of her philosophy, learned some of the things, and was able to kind of take all those lessons away with me. Do you feel yoga is a lot like that?
Yeah, for me, yoga is more, it's like way more than just moving. The, I guess with anything that we do, we can use it as an analogy or an example or a metaphor, if you know what I mean. And um, yoga, being on the mat and practicing the asana portion of yoga, like there's so many other aspects to it, but within that moving part and how well you move, how smooth you move, how well you are able to be still in the shapes, how well you're able to be easeful in that shape, have your breaths be rhythmic and deep, and then now we use different lengths of breaths and we breathe into different parts of our body and do what's called bandha, like Uddiyana bandha or Mula bandha, like these different bandha works where you're Uddiyana bandha, for example, is the fastest way. Like it's like having an ice bath, a 10-minute ice bath, but within 30 seconds. Like vacuuming the waste in, it quickly like gets into subconscious mind and stirs things up a lot. But then the whole practice also is, we do certain practices, certain movements, certain breaths to maintain. The whole idea is to create this calmness and stability in our body and our mind. So then we have the foundation to then be able to invite in the parts of ourselves that we can't see. So usually when something comes up for us, depending on how big or small, if we can handle what we find or what we see, the whole point of yoga for me is that we're creating this environment inside that we're pressing up right against our edge through our movements, through our breath, through all the different techniques that we become more we can see our subconscious mind more through our movement, but we've also created this environment inside that is the best potential to see what is there. And then once we see, then we know exactly what to do with it as well. And that's how we rapidly evolve, like through the practices and through the philosophies and the understanding of where the great sages and the great yogis have already been and what they explain, like what is happening. And then it gives more context and foundation for us to connect to and land with as we do what we do. If if our worldview is very minimal and we don't believe everything is sacred and we're part of the divine and all of that and everything along the way to that, then when we have these euphoric feelings or different types of experiences or insights or revelations inside, they'll become very fleeting if we don't know what it means. But the more we know what it means and then we experience it, then we can keep layering in and then keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into our being. Yeah, it's just a system of practices and techniques and philosophy that helps one to understand themselves a lot deeper.
It's a great way of putting it by yourself, Chris. Chris, I'm sure people watching this back are gonna enjoy listening to what you shared tonight. And I know some people will probably want to get in contact with you and know exactly or want to know how to get in contact with you with the practices that you do. If there's any instructors out there watching now, yoga, uh, breath coaches, or people who want to just come and do a class with you at your studio, how would our viewers get in contact with you and where would they look you up? Is there a website they could go to, an Instagram page? Could you share with our viewers? Perhaps Nadia can share that on the screen when we share it and our viewers can get in contact with you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can give you all the links and everything for sure, so they can just click on. But so the studio's name is Bhav, B-H-A-V. Our website is bhav.com.au. We're on Facebook and Instagram. The Facebook is Bhav Cronulla, I think, or Bhav Studio. I had to make a new Facebook page. The Instagram is bhav.cronulla. So we're in Cronulla. Um, yeah, looking to do more online stuff. Like I feel like I'm quite limited in just the area that we're in and want to, branch out a little bit. Well, I think we've definitely got valuable stuff to share. Um, and yeah, like you said, we're moving into different trainings and different things. We have a teacher training coming up again next year in February, like a part-time one. It was amazing last year, like so good. So that's coming up. If there is teachers out there that are where I used to be and are getting a bit stale or bored with what they're teaching and want to go a little deeper rather than sideways, then yeah, come and check it out and or just ask and we can have a conversation and see if it fits.
Amazing, Chris, amazing. But there you go, everyone. If you want to get in contact with Chris or learn about more about what he does in his great practice in Cronulla, his studio, give him a call or drop by and email him, and I'm sure he'll be happy to see you. On another note, just to share with our audience watching this back, later on this year, on the 7th of December, I'll be running a Footprints retreat here in the eastern suburbs, Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia. And that'll be a half-day workshop where the retreat will start off with yoga on the beach with Emily, the yoga teacher, and that'll be just before sunrise. And if you wish to join us, it's going to be a great event. We're going to spend some time on the beach with some human movement, breath work, and some yoga. And then we're going to go back to the gym, have something to drink, some beverages and that, and then kick the morning off again with some human movement, functional training classes and boxing classes. And with that, we're going to finish off and have some delicious food at the Up South Cafe, where they're going to serve us with delicious meals, from vegan meals, chicken wraps, and detoxing smoothies. From there, we're going to do a vision session, neurotransformation therapy sessions, where I'm going to talk to you guys about submodalities and your internal representation. I'm also going to be talking about Muhammad Ali and his past and using his story as a motivational session for you guys to reflect on some of your path and where you're heading. And then we're going to move on to Nimbus Retreat. Nimbus is a health and wellness center up at Bondi Road where we're going to be doing some ice baths, and it's a great place where we do infrared saunas. And the retreat will conclude with some acai bowls and some delicious foods. And I'm looking forward to any of you who have any questions to join us. I've already sold 4 tickets and there's 4 spots gone. We've only got 6 left, and the date is the 7th of December. So tickets are going soon, quite quick. If you want to learn a little bit more, give us a call on 0402 622 662, or look me up on Facebook, Mayday Ronan Coaching, or Instagram, Mayday Ronan Coaching. Other than that, it's been great having you here, Chris.
Thank you
Look,
so much. Appreciate it.
catching up with you in person. I know you've invited me to Cronulla before. I've got to make some time to take a drive out there and catch up with you, maybe have some lunch, maybe
Come for a pass.
employ you to run a personal training session for me, teach me
Yeah,
some stuff. I'm sure I'll
love to.
benefit from it, you know?
For sure, I'd love to.
That'd be awesome. Um,
And same, I'll come for a boxing as well.
oh, yeah, for sure. Come for free. Come for free. It'd be great to see you. We'll have some tea afterwards or something, and we'll have a good chat. It's always good to see you. I'm really like this has been really great part of what I've been doing, and Nadia's been supporting me and helping me with, because it's allowed me to pick people's brain and listen to what they have to say. And I've written a couple of notes down. Um, Tonight from you in regards to some of the things that you do, and that not that I'm going to go and implement in what I'm doing, but it just has raised my awareness, especially, I often find myself, my teacher used to say to me, the better you become, the lonelier you become in this field. And in boxing, it's almost like deep roots music, really deep, like you got like soulful music that is really like blues, like bluesy or R&B, something that's really deep in that, as to comparing it to something that is just quite contemporary, pop, something like quite electronic and not analog. So there's a huge difference, I reflect on that a lot with what I do. And so listen to you speak and share about your passion, and it's not just passion, it's your vision, it's your spirit. It's so much more, like you said, it's so much more than human movement. When I'm moving and I'm doing something, it's so much more than just a movement, because it comes from a certain place, it comes from a certain culture. And then certain cultures have certain flavors. And for example, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, there was a group of inmates in America. There was a jailhouse rock style, and there was the Comsack style, and there was the 52 block system that people in the penitentiary, when they were fighting, they learned to fight by using elbows to block here, elbows to block here, shoulders to block punches, where you don't see in modern day boxing. And this is what enabled boxing to evolve to what it is today. For example, guys went from the normal European stance, which was up here, or the normal straight like guard like this, with elbows in, arms up and chin in, to things like the cross guard. And from the cross guard, they were able to transition into the Philly shell, lift the elbow up to block the hook, use this elbow to block the uppercut. And it just developed
Mm.
so much links and so much variations to making boxing what it really is. And like there really is no missing links in pure classical boxing. It's a little bit like, when you entered the room and I introduced you and asked you how you were, and you said, I'm great. It's like you work off whatever I put out, and I work off whatever you put out. And it's just continuous. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of what I'm involved with. And I see a lot of that in what you shared tonight. So thank you very much, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and have an amazing evening. And we look forward to seeing you next week, where I'll be interviewing Shireen, who is a health and wellness expert, and she's also a personal trainer and a movement expert. We're looking forward to chatting with her. She's been working in the industry for many years. Other than that, have an amazing evening and enjoy your week. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye.